Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Tell the tackle to take the defensive end. If he's over him, if he's not, you drive down the first man who is inside. Pull back and tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one goes. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you want to email the show, you can send us a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us at 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside the great Paul Bretl. You guys know he does an awesome job writing at Packers Wire and Dairyland Express. Paul, we got a herd in here, man. We had something like 20 people waiting in the room for you to hop on, and I guarantee you they're going to leave as soon as you get through spilling knowledge. But how are you doing, pal?
I'm excellent. As always appreciate the kind words, even though overblown a little bit, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And hey, just happy we get to talk about a victory this week.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I can't wait to get into it. I definitely want to get your Rams recap because we know the Rams are beat up just like we are, right? But gosh, it's just such a different feel on Monday morning, man. And when you wake up and you got that dub, and when you turn on Good Morning Football, you ain't got to worry about any Packers slander, right?
Yes.
So it's always going to be a good day. But we've actually already got a super chat in here, and I wanted to ask you this question, if it's all right with you, Paul. We got Josh Martin with the super chat. Thank you so much, pal. He said, for us to get into the playoffs, who do you think has to take the second half leap/jump? Pick one from offense and defense, and he ain't going to let us cheat, Paul. He said, excluding Love, because that's a given.
Yeah, right.
He says Christian Watson and Devontae Wyatt. So who do you think would need to take a second half of the season leap for the Packers to somehow, some way sneak into the playoffs?
So I think Josh's answers are excellent. Like, I was thinking through who I was going to pick, and honestly, I think those might be the top two. So I'm going to steal one of them from you, Josh, the Christian Watson one.
There you go.
And I can't remember if I've referenced it on here before, but this first half of this season, to a degree, mirrors a lot of what we saw last season. And in respect to last year's team, they couldn't push the ball downfield either. They didn't have the same speed that this year's team does, but Watson was in and out with injuries. Dobbs was in and out with injuries. That's not a job that you ask of often for a Lazard, for a Randall Cobb. So like we've talked about, defenses don't respect it. They shrink the field, makes the run game harder. Short area throws more difficult. Attacking the middle of the field more difficult as well. But then all of a sudden, week 10, I'm sure we all remember Dallas Cowboys, Christian Watson, 4 receptions, 107 yards. That breakout stretch that he started to have began there. And defenses started to play this team differently. All of a sudden, they start easing back. More opportunities underneath for others. It's not just the big play, the chunk plays that Watson can generate for himself, but it's what he does for others within the offense and the opportunities that he creates for them, again, over the middle, underneath, in the run game. And so this offense really, really needs that element. I don't think we're going to see true consistency from this unit in a passing game perspective until they can start to be a bit more efficient on those type of throws. And what we saw against the Rams was a good start in that regard. And we'll get to it here in a second in terms of the run game and how that all intertwined. But to me, having Watson, having that ability, because they do have speed, Jaden Reed, sub 4.4, the Packers clocked him at. Luke Musgrave, sub 4.6 for a tight end. Like, they have the speed, but there's no one from a skill position standpoint on this Packers roster who can do what Christian Watson does, when he's playing at that high level. So they absolutely need him to be that wide receiver one and have that big playability. Hopefully that catch that he made at the end of the game against the Rams is a bit of a catalyst for him, because he talked about leading up to that game that he said, I need to go out and be more aggressive. Like, he's fully aware that that's something that he needs to work on. And it was great to see him, when given an opportunity, able to execute it and come down with the ball. And just a little side note here, he mentioned today that he just got the wind knocked out of him. So doesn't appear to be anything serious in that regard. So a positive, of course. But Christian Watson on the offensive side of the ball, I think Devontae Wyatt's a great choice on the defensive side. But just to not totally steal all of Josh's answers, I'm going to slide it over to one player over to TJ Slayton. If TJ Slayton can continue to play at just the consistency that he's had the last 2-3 games, if he can carry that into the second half of the season, this defensive front and then the defense as a whole is going to be so much better off. I know the Rams and Vikings aren't juggernauts from, a run game perspective, but the Packers run defense over the last 2 games has held those teams to 2.3 yards per carry. Like we talk about from the Packers on offense, when you can't get the run game going, you're put in predictable passing situations. Same thing for the opponent. And what's the strength of this Packers team? The pass rush. Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, your interior guys, like everyone except TJ Slayton. And of course, Kenny Clark can be a very good run defender as well. But Jacoby Wood and Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, like those are pass rushers. Those are get after the quarterback type of guys. That's what you have on your defense up front. So when you can put the offense in those second and long, third and long predictable situations, now the strength of your defense is able to actually play to its strength. I said earlier on in the year, because Rashawn Gary's numbers, he's just in his own stratosphere as far as this team goes, but everyone else is, from a pass rush standpoint, it's been a little inconsistent. And I definitely think that's a product of the run game. Like if you're not stopping the run and the offense is in 2nd and 4, like you can't be as aggressive. I asked Zach Tom about that on Monday, because they had the run game going on offense. What does that do for you as on the offensive line? He talked about wearing down the pass rush, as the course of the game goes on, because you're doing the dictating in that regard. He also talked about they can't pin their ears back the same way. And I think the Packers were really feeling that effect of living in 2nd and 3rd and shorts. It takes the bite away from that pass rush. So all that to say, TJ Slayton, if he can continue to play at that level, make the impact that he has in the run game, there's just going to be a positive trickle-down effect to literally every other player, every other position on the defensive side of the ball, because you're making the offense one-dimensional at that standpoint. I also talked to Isaiah McDuffie on Monday just to get kind of his thoughts on the game, because post-game, Matt LaFleur, unprompted, brought up Isaiah's name 2 different times because of his play against the Rams. And as I was trying to heap a little bit of praise on him for his performance, he was very quick to deflect it and talked about how he was given that opportunity because of the play up front, because of what TJ Slayton's doing, because they're occupying defenders, they're keeping the linebackers clean. Again, they're able to shoot those gaps, make those plays in the run game. Like I said, it's all intertwined. We know that there's a positive trickle-down effect that happens when you can stop the run. So to be different from Josh, I think Devontae Wyatt's a great one, because run defense is absolutely somewhere where he has to improve. And if he could make a leap in that regard and join Slayton and join Clark, the Packers are going to be much better off. But I'll go with TJ Slayton and Christian Watson.
Like it. TJ Slayton and Christian Watson. I'll tell you, TJ Slayton is one of those guys, I want to see him in the nickel too. Like I don't even want to hardly come off the field, because he's so many opponents try to run, out of that 11 personnel. And I think sometimes that's how we do get gashed. But at the same time, I immediately step back, Paul, and I'm like, yeah, but if he goes down with an injury, who's at nose tackle now in the base, right? You could tell that's definitely coming into play there a little bit. Good stuff there. Let's do this. Let's get your Packers Rams recap, like we talked about here in the opening. Man, it was fun to get back in the win column. You win whatever it was, 20-3, right? Mm-hmm. That's a pretty healthy win, right? It's one thing if you come out of there beating the Rams by 7 points, but when you come out and for lack of a better way of saying it, blow them out, you got to feel good coming out of this game. And I think we would all agree this was Jordan Love's coming out party, right? This was the best game of the season for Jordan. So much fun to watch that game. But what was your recap, Paul? Because I'm fascinated. Sometimes I read your articles and I go, don't remember seeing that. Go back and watch the tape. There it is. But how did you see the recap here?
Yeah, so my instant takeaways I do right after the game, it was a mixture of, positives, which there were, and also kind of what the heck are we still doing out there? And we're coming off a win. I don't mean to be that guy right now, but there were still a lot of mistakes. The penalties, drop pass by Malik Heath, just some struggles and key situations for the offense, the 2 fumbles. Like there's still definitely things that they have to overcome. And I thought Matt LaFleur summed it up well. Like we made improvements, but we're nowhere near who we need to be or who we want to be at this point. And I thought that was a perfect summation of what we saw. Now, the positives, because there definitely are. It's amazing what can happen, my friends, when there's a run game to lean on. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing for this Packers offense. To me, that's where all of this started. They've lived in second and long, third and long situations this season, especially in that Minnesota Vikings game. But even picking up 3-4 yards a rush, because that's what they did. I think they only had one rush over 10 or more yards. A.J. Dillon averaged 4.4 yards per carry. Aaron Jones, 3.7. Like, it's not like there were these chunk plays after chunk plays that they were leaning on, but it goes to show the offense to truly feel the ripple effects of what the run game can do for them. Doesn't need to be these constant big plays. You just need positive plays. Yeah. You need to put yourself in 2nd and 6 where, again, defense has to play both the run and the pass. Jordan Love said after the game, when you got that run game going, opens up passing opportunities. Matt LaFleur said as a play caller, makes his job easier. He's able to better keep the defense off balance. He's able to dive deeper into his playbook. He said after the Vikings game as well, because they can't get the run game going, because they're living in 2nd and 10 plus, 3rd and 10 plus, that they're like, that Vikings game is a great example. They didn't even fully get into their game plan, at that point, because of just all the early struggles and just living in those long down and distances. So that run game kept them ahead of the sticks, took the playmaking burden off of the passing game, which is an absolute must. Because back to my original point, like, the margin for error for this team, especially in the passing game, is still really, really small. Like, things need to go right in order for them to move the ball. Their 4 scoring drives, 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. No penalties occurred on them. When they did have a penalty, they did not score in that game. Like, that is the type of margin of error we're talking about. They can't be in 2nd and 15s. They can't be in 3rd and 12s. It's pretty telling right now with this offense. Like, just watch how first down goes, and we'll kind of know what the rest of the drive is going to look like at this point. And so the run game let them keep ahead of the stick, stay out of the predictable passing situations. And it's not a coincidence that Jordan Love put together his most efficient performance of the season. Also, credit to the offensive line and pass protection. PFF charted them as Love only under pressure on 7 of his 31 dropbacks. That's a rate of about 22%, which, if you're under 25%, you're doing really, really well. If you're under 30%, you got a solid offensive line, just to provide some perspective for that. But over the previous 4 games, Love was under pressure combined around the 40% mark. So again, a noticeable difference. And we've talked about it on here before, just all the chaos that's been going on around him. We saw who he can be as a quarterback. Not that there aren't areas to improve upon. Absolutely there are. Missed the deep throw, missed some other reads as well. But we saw a quarterback who is much more decisive, much better with his decision-making. Again, when he has a run game to lean on and some time in the pocket. And football, as we know, isn't a perfect game. Conditions aren't always going to be ideal for him. But if you can give him at least the framework of some time, some sort of run game to lean on, we've seen a quarterback that can find some success. And now the key for them is going to be trying to build upon that, because that's just not something they've been able to do this season. But to me, the run game was the absolute key. I do like the instant takeaways article, and then right after that, I do an article to a specific theme about the game. And to me, that's kind of what the big theme is. And mine was all about the run game, because I think that just set the table for the entire day for the Packers offense.
Definitely. And, it's even though, like you said, Aaron Jones only averaged whatever it was, 3.7 yards a carry. You could just see the defense. You could feel his presence, because he can hit that home run. And the defense really has to pull up. And like you were saying, they can't just sit back there and say, okay, we're going to protect against the deep ball, or we're going to, play 7 and 8 coverage. They've really got to get in there and hug the box. And man, I'll tell you, that Luke Musgrave touchdown, it's play of the year for me so far. I know it's early, but man, that was a blast to break down. I'm writing down terminology I've never wrote down on Chalk Talk, sitting there going, my goodness, like this, what a play design, great execution, and the perfect name for the play too, Paul. Hollywood. It doesn't get any better than that. That describes it to a T.
I was just going to say, Jordan Love was asked about that in the locker room today. And for me, it just provided like interesting perspective, because that play was, LaFleur couldn't remember if it was Stenovich or John Dunn who brought it to him. And he said it's a play that's been around the league. It's not like the Packers just pulled this out of thin air. But in terms of a peek behind the curtain, in terms of the implementation of it, Jordan Love was asked, like, how much did they practice that play last week? He said they went through it full speed one time and then maybe one other time in walkthrough. like just to provide some perspective in terms of, oh, here's a play. Let's throw it in the playbook. We're going to run through it once at full speed. Maybe we do it in walkthrough on Saturday. And then like, that's it. And then all of a sudden the situation's right for LaFleur to green light it, gives the play call, and then they go and execute it as well as they did. Like Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon selling those fakes, Luke Musgrave staying in the block as long as he did. Like it was so well executed. And when he said that they only ran through it one time at full speed, this brand new play, like I said, it was a peek behind the curtain where, at least for me anyways, I won't speak for anyone else, but I assume there was, oh, we ran it each day, maybe once or twice, something like that, because it is brand new, but just threw it in, did it once, maybe twice, and off they were.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of moving parts. I'm with you. I'm following that same camp. I'm really surprised they only ran through it once or twice. The way the guards pulled, it was just like, man, there's a lot that, I mean, everyone has to play their role in that play perfectly. And even Musgrave kind of selling that seal before he leaped. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot. I could talk about that all day. I absolutely love it. Good stuff. Let's do this. Let's talk injuries real quick. You kind of alluded to one here, Paul. And that was obviously Christian Watson. We got good news there, right? This is a tweet from you earlier today where you were talking about, from LaFleur following Wednesday's practice, who didn't participate: Jair Alexander, Quay Walker, Yash, John Runyon, limited participation, Kenny Clark, Rudy Ford, Elton Jenkins, Aaron Jones, Christian Watson as a full participant. So you said just a second ago, Paul, that basically Christian Watson just got the wind knocked out of him, right? I know there was rumors it was a back injury. There was rumors it was a neck injury. There was rumors he was in concussion protocol, which I guess was true, and he cleared those pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Just give us kind of an injury update and give us some hope against the Steelers team this weekend.
Yeah, so right after the game, Matt LaFleur's press conference said that Christian Watson hadn't suffered a concussion, so they ruled that out pretty quickly. And then today at his locker, Watson said that he just had the wind knocked out of him. And it was later in the game. They had obviously they had to put him through the concussion protocol at that point, but the Packers had the game in hand. So I think all that played a factor in why we didn't see him back on the field. But obviously good to know, and I'm sure many of us out there have had the wind knocked out of us at some point and know what that feeling is like. But good news there, he was a full participant in practice. Jair Alexander, he was on the injury report with a shoulder injury, so different than the back. He did mention last week that the back is something that he's just going to have to manage. So that just might be kind of a part of his 2023 season to a degree in terms of practice and just how they're taking care of that. I'm sure others out there, I'm in that group who's, been debilitated at times by a back, and we know how those things can linger for us as well. So, but he suffered a shoulder injury. Matt LaFleur said that he was banged up, were Matt LaFleur's words after Sunday's game. So did not practice. So we'll keep our eyes on that for the rest of the week. John Runyon Jr., he left for that one offensive series. I'm guessing with the neck injury that he was on the injury report with. And then Yash Nyman left with a back, and then Quay still out with a groin. That groin injury popped up on Friday. LaFleur said before Sunday's game that Quay went into Friday, just wasn't feeling well, and that's what they had diagnosed him with and kept him out of practice for. So tough to know what his timeline is going to be. Great news, though. Kenny Clark was a limited participant. Matt LaFleur said after the game that the shoulder injury, they didn't view it as long-term, but what does that mean? Does that mean it's not a month, it's not 2 weeks, but good to see him out there in a limited capacity. And Aaron Jones as well, limited, but did not have the red jersey on. They're going to, talk to him, work with him throughout the week. But my take on it is that he is in good shape. I think that this is just kind of part of their workload, process that they're going through with him, and probably what they're going to continue to do throughout the rest of the season. As we mentioned, Christian Watson was a full go, and Rudy Ford back at practice after missing last Friday, and then the game as well.
Got it. This is a little off cuff, and actually it's not. Look at this. I should have just kept my mouth shut. I would have appeared professional. I was going to say, ask you about the safety position. We're going to jump right into the Steelers game preview here. Let's say Rudy Ford is healthy. It's probably going to be Rudy Ford and Jonathan Owens, right? I was kind of hoping, I would really like to see Rudy Ford and Anthony Johnson Jr., and then, of course, have Jonathan Owens kind of play big nickel from time to time, whatever. How do you see the starting safety position, and then just roll it right into the Steelers game preview?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to see that as well. I don't think once Savage is back, I don't think Anthony Johnson is going to jump Rudy Ford by any means. I think potentially, if they want to see more of him, he showed, had a good initial game out on the field. We always go back to this as an evaluation year. Let's take a look at what the 7th-round rookie can do versus the veteran in Owens, who is here on a 1-year deal. But what I think is going to happen is Owens. I think they're going to keep Owens ahead of him. I just get this feeling that they really like what Owens can provide, and he certainly has value. We saw him cause the fumble, sound tackler. Like coverage is his area where he has to improve upon. But I think what we'll see moving forward is, like you said, till Savage comes back, Ford and Owens, and then Anthony Johnson in dime. My hope is that even when Savage is back and it's Savage and Ford back there, as I'm guessing it's going to be, they keep Johnson in the dime to at least get him, those 6, 7, 8 snaps a game. Because I think that they're perfectly fine with this being more of a redshirt year for him. Because he's not just making the jump to the NFL. This is only his second season playing safety. I wrote an article last Friday after talking with him in the locker room, and I asked him about that. I said, outside of the jump from college to the NFL, you're only in year 2 at this position. Like, how has that transition been more difficult? And he said that there's moments where like stuff that his safety coach at Iowa State last year was telling him, he's now just going like, oh, that's what he meant. That's why I do this. You know what I mean? So he's still having those moments. So I think the Packers are okay if this year looks a little bit more like a redshirt year, something that they've shown that they're absolutely comfortable doing. Jonathan Ford last year, Rasheed Walker, Caleb Jones, they're still going through that with in his second year as an undrafted rookie. So I think that they tend to lean that way, and they'd be okay with going that route. As far as the game in general, going to be a real test for this offense. Like for me, just to kind of, so we don't go in a million different tangents, I'm just going to boil it down to the offensive line play. Like this game will tell us if Sunday's performance against the Rams from the offensive line's perspective was an outlier, or are we actually trending in the right direction? Because there's TJ Watt, there's Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward is back in the middle now. I think he returned last week or 2 weeks ago. For the Steelers. As a team, they have the 6th highest pressure rate in football. This is also a defense that has the 3rd highest blitz rate as well. So not only do the tackles have to worry about Highsmith and Watt on the outside, the interior defenders are going to have to worry about some blitzes coming at them as well. Like that could be absolute pure chaos. And again, we've seen how quickly things break down for this offense when Jordan Love doesn't have time back there. So that's going to be the big thing for me. And just to kind of zoom out, bigger picture, this game to me feels like a massive, massive swing game. And what I mean by that, and not in terms of are they going to make the playoffs or not, but like I could see a path where decisions about jobs are made, where decisions about jobs are made 4 or 5 weeks from now. So if the Packers lose this game, let's say the next 3 games are Chargers, Detroit, Kansas City. They're going to be the underdog in all those games. And based on what we've seen up to this point, let's just say they lose. That's another 4-game losing streak. That's 1 win in 8 games. Like at that point, you're 3-9. I'm not saying that when that time comes, if that were to happen, that, Matt LaFleur's gone, Joe Barry's gone. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen. If you ask me right now, they're going to be here throughout the entire season. That's what my expectation is. But if you get to that point where you're 1-8 in your last 9 games, those conversations are on the table, at least, at the very, very least.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, if you can steal that game in Pittsburgh, and I know it's only a game difference, 3-9 versus 4-8, but one, maybe it's just me, but just the difference in saying those sounds way better. But if you look at the Packers' end of the year schedule, after they get through that Kansas City game, it's Giants, Bucks, Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago. Like, even if you win just 2 or 3 of those games, say you go 2-3, say you go 3-2, all of a sudden you're in the 6 to 7 win range. And we go back to the start of the season. That's where a lot of people had this team. Yeah. So there's just a massive swing in 3-9. We've won 1 of our last 8 games versus, all right, we're 4-8. We got a favorable schedule to the end of the year. And I know I'm parsing things because the difference between 3-9 and 4-8 is 1 game. I get that. But I just think how the previous, losing streak went, it's just going to have a massive impact on how things look moving forward, what your outlook is at that point. So I think this is a really big game in terms of where's this team going to end, because if they can get the win, and even if they do lose the next three, like I said, they could get to 6-7 wins and at least be in the range of what people said. However, if they lose the next four, you're 3-9. Who knows at that point? Because obviously there's the outside effect of things compounding on top of each other, things maybe spiraling when you're in another 4-game losing streak, only winning one game over the course of 2+ months. Like, I think this is a really, really important game in that regard.
Yeah, all great points, and you're right. I totally see what you're saying, Paul, about it being a massive swing game. That 6-win mark is kind of like that's the floor for me, right? And what I mean by that is if you lose, if you win less than 6 games, if you come out with just 5 wins, like you said, 4 wins possibly, I think there's legit justification to make a change. At least the conversation should take place. I think if LaFleur gets this team to 6 wins, you kind of feel like, okay, let's see if they can grow on next year. It's just, man, it's a thin thread. It's such a thin thread. And of course, with Mark Murphy, obviously, his time being up here in 2025, a lot of people, and rightfully so, are saying, okay, I think they'll at least last to that point when new leadership takes over. Maybe they change. But I'm just really rooting for Matt LaFleur. I hope it works out. I like his passion. I like his style and everything. It's just, man, it is a rough business, Paul.
No kidding. And one other point I want to add to all that, like beyond the wins and losses, it's also how this team looks too. Like if they take the Chargers, Lions, Chiefs down to the wire, offense, you see some form of progression. Obviously those losses, even though they're losses, are a lot different than if it looks like what we saw the previous month. So I just wanted to make sure I added that caveat as well, because this season goes beyond the win-loss column. It's what kind of stats, what kind of progressions are we seeing from this offense, specifically Jordan Love.
No, yeah, definitely. Very well said. And Omar sums it up for me in the chat here. He says Belichick would have plenty of suitors, rest assured. And I say that, I put that quote up there, or that post up there, Paul, because if Bill Belichick's on the hot seat, I think everybody's on the hot seat. It's that's just the way the business goes. But I'll tell you who isn't on the hot seat. It's you, Paul. We appreciate your time, buddy. You got anything coming up? You want to give us a sneak peek? Any articles about to drop, or are you working on anything right now?
That's a good question. One that I know I'm going to be working on here tonight is about Dontavian Wicks. I asked Jordan Love today about him. Just my specific question to Jordan was, he's becoming a guy that you're finding pretty frequently. Like, what is it about, his skill set from an execution standpoint that keeps putting him in those positions to make those plays for you? And what he said I think is a lot of what we can see. He talked about his release at the line of scrimmage, his ability to create separation and win routes, and then also just the precision at which he plays with. And really that's something that's been lacking from this Packers receiver room as a whole. I'm not suggesting that he should start out snapping Dobbs and Watson, right, but I do think the discrepancy in terms of the variance between them, I think the gap should close a little bit, because you're in a position where you're trying to find something. You're trying to find something to hang your hat on, some go-to option. And I know he had the drop pass against the Vikings. There was the fumble trying to make the play against the Rams, but he's done a lot of good for this team. And we talk a lot about the Packers receivers needing to make more contested catches and they'll make those 50-50 balls. How about someone like Dontavian Wicks who just wins his route and you have an easy completion to him? How about we get more of that too? So yeah. I hope to see some more opportunities building for him moving forward.
Definitely. I broke down on Chalk Talk where they ran a wolf concept on the outside, which is basically an out with a corner over top, and it was Wicks. And just that little extra inside move to create just enough separation. Love threw a great ball. You can see it, Paul. They're creating chemistry, man. I'm excited about it. But go ahead.
I was just going to say I thought back to the preseason, when you're up in the press box and you kind of have that all 22 view versus the on the field, like at training camp. And that was when when you could really first see like his route running in action. Like he's not like he really, really sets the receiver up, like to the point sometimes you're like, all right, when are you going to make the move? As it's happening. But one stat or couple of stats paired together that I think just sums up his ability to win. I think his 40 time was like 4.57, like not blazing whatsoever. but his 2021 season at Virginia, he was one of the top receivers in downfield receiving yards. Like, that just tells you he has the ability to win and create separation, even though he doesn't have Christian Watson, Jaden Reed speed. And again, he's ride the hot hand. He's getting open. He's building that rapport, like you said, with Jordan Love. Let's give him more opportunities and see what they got.
Absolutely. Good stuff as always, Paul. Can't thank you enough, man. Everybody be on the lookout for that article to drop. I know we got a lot of Wicks fans in here, so I'm excited to read that one. Again, you can find him on Twitter at Paul_Bretl, writes for Packers Wire and Dairyland Express. Paul, look forward to it every week, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Clayton. One of my favorite talks each week. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a great night, buddy. And again, that was Paul Bretl. Now we're going to get the Stooges all together here. Look at this. You kidding me? What's going on, fellas? We're bringing Emilio from Tennessee. We got Tim live in Green Bay. Tim, let me tell you something. This is Tim's flu game right here. This is Tim. You remember Jordan back in the day, right? He a lot of people said he was hungover. I don't know. But Tim's a little under the weather, and he's out here anyway, man, showing that dedication. How you doing, Tim?
Hey, I'm all right, guys. I'm here. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right.
Ready to go, right?
Man, a few words.
You can play, right, guys?
Exactly.
There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Damn it. Let's go.
If you're hurt, you can't play. No, if you're hurt, you can still play. If you're injured, you can't. So
That's
are you
right.
injured or are you hurt? We need some program video drops is what we need. If you guys in the chat have never seen the movie, The Program, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But Emilio, how you doing, dude?
I'm good. Sorry, Tim. We were at 80 today. Nice breeze. Blowing leaves was a problem with the wind, but besides that, it was a good day.
Good problem to have. It's a good reason to go, you know what? The wind's too gusty. Let's go home and have a daddy soda.
Yeah. Yep. There it is.
That's the way it works. But I want to get your all's take on what Paul said. Did anything stick out to you? I'll start with you, Tim. Did anything pop to you there as far as what Paul covered?
Just speaking on Tay Wicks was great. I can't wait to see the article. And what he said is absolutely true. Now, I don't get the cool press box view from training camp like Paul and
Right.
Herman and those guys do. But I did get up to the crow's nest this year, which is as close as we can get as fans over there at Ray Nitschke Field, where you can kind of get your own all-22 angle, kind of dead center on the top. And that was one of the things I noticed right away. I kept looking. I'm like, who's this 13? Man, this guy's really running some routes. And it's like, oh, he's a rookie. It's like, holy crap. So Paul had a great point there. You know, we talk about guys high pointing the ball, making contested catch, come back to the ball, bail out your quarterback. Well, great point by Paul Bretl. How about we just roast the defender and you're just so open that you make it easier on your quarterback, you know, because then we'll really have some things to discuss. If you got, you know, guys that are just beating their coverage and we can't get the ball there, then we've got big problems. So guys like Tay Wicks, man, and Dobbs too. Romeo Dobbs runs wonderful, crisp, technical routes all the time. So, you know, it's refreshing to see this in, you know, rookies and second year guys. So, but yeah, I thought that was a great point. Just his comments on Tay Wicks. I noticed that myself too over the summer, and we're seeing it now in the season. So
yeah, you're starting to see it in the PFF grade rising, right? You've seen it on the tape when we did Chalk Talk. He started to pop. But yeah, I completely agree. What about you, Emilio? What stood out to you about Paul's conversation?
Definitely the Tay Wicks. And then on top of that, just the team itself. I mean, if we go, like Paul said, if we drop this one and it starts the ball rolling downhill, I don't want to see what's at the end of it, you know?
Right.
But no, I mean, I love just having Paul on the show, man. He, like you say, man, he raises our intelligence level a little bit there and drops some knowledge on us, but it's a good time always.
A little bit. Boy, that's the understatement of the night right there. Speaking of that, we got another Paul in the chat set. Paul Robertson said, what do you think Clayton's drinking in that big booty coffee mug? Listen, guys,
I'll take
there's no alcohol in this. All right. This is just straight coffee. Actually, as I've gotten older, I like cream in the coffee, all right? Judge me if you want, okay? I don't drink it just straight black. But, man, I will make it as bold as possible, like espresso style, then load the cream in there. If your stomach ain't hurting 10 minutes after you finish that cup, you did something wrong. That's the way I feel. So, anyway, that's what's in it, Paul. Stop trying to label me as a drunkard over here, okay? Goose in the chat said that Watson catch was incredible. Watching it on the breakdown, he really went and got it. Let's hope Love throws him less hospital balls. I completely agree, Goose. When I was doing Chalk Talk, I didn't realize how good of a catch it was. And this happens every single week. You get to the tape and you go, golly. I mean, he was like, the way he contorted his body, he already left his feet. And in the air, somehow defies gravity, changes position in the air, right, without touching the ground or anything, and just sacrificing his body completely. And like Paul said, that was great news. Obviously, no concussion, no major injury, just knocked the wind out of him. That's what it looked like to me too. Like he almost landed on the ball. So I agree, though, Goose. What a heck of a catch that was, man, for sure. So you guys know here lately, one of the hot button topics that we've been covering was Josh Myers, right? And, everybody's got an opinion on him. It's, I'm not here to say anyone's right and we're wrong or they're right, whatever. What I thought we would do is, okay, as we kind of close this chapter of the hot button topic, let's do a poll, right? A poll question on Twitter. So what we did was we actually did the poll, and let me pull it up here. I know I've got it right somewhere. This is great podcasting right here.
Great podcast.
Great podcast. Okay, here we go.
There it is. Fire the producer.
Exactly. You can't fire me. Josh Myers poll question. I said, let's end the debate now. Some Packers fans are very high on Josh Myers, while others are very low. Knowing what you know now, what is the highest round you would draft Josh Myers now? In other words, what round talent have we gotten from him? I really wanted to corner those people that keep defending it. Like, okay, put your money where your mouth is. What kind of draft pick would you spend on Josh Myers for who he is today as a player? First round, second round, third round, or the final option was fourth round or later. Some people said I went easy. I got plenty of comments where people were like, undrafted, right? So first round, 1.5%, second round, 11.5%, third round, 43.2%, fourth round or later, 43.8%. So I was really surprised at how many people said third round, but as I got to thinking about it, it kind of did click with me. Like, you know what? That does kind of make sense. He's been very durable, right? He's a good pass blocker. I think we all feel comfortable saying that. He's just booty cheeks at run blocking. So with that being said, Tim, how would you have voted on this poll right here, man? What would have been your pick here?
Well, number one, I think it's cool that I see that at least Josh voted for himself there for the first round.
Is that what it was?
No, I mean I'm just joking, but
No, you're not.
But no, I was definitely I was in the 43.2% camp. I voted third round this morning when I voted, and kind of like what you said, there's issues here, but there's other attributes that he brings to the table that you can't let be overshadowed just by the other issues that he has. Durability is a great point, especially on a team like ours that is constantly battling injuries. I mean, what team in the NFL isn't? So anytime you got a guy that can stay out there, that's a strong attribute to his game. Pass pro is pretty good. But yeah, we got to get this run blocking shored up, and it'd be nice to have a center that can help set some protections and not put it all on our QB1 and our really our coordinators, trying to, like, for lack of a better term, idiot proof some of these blocking assignments. You pointed to that the other day. We simplified a little bit. No more pulling guys around and expecting them to do things that are out of their wheelhouse. So yeah, I took him for the third round, which I think is fair. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, but that's kind of why I voted that way.
Gotcha. Third round. All right. What about you, Emilio?
Tim took it from me. Third round was my take too. Honestly, I feel like we would have flipped any of our thirds and been, hey, let's see what we could have gotten the second at that time. But again, it's all, we're all looking at it in the past at this point. The dude's been on the field for us. He's played for us. He's played with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he's had to learn something, playing there with him. So we should have something that we can grow on here. It's just not been 100% put together. Maybe he's never going to be able to run block, and maybe we just always run a double with him or something like that. Maybe we just have to figure out how to work around him if it's not going to be something that gets fixed, right away, sort of thing.
Definitely. Jarrell Lee in the chat says late third. And then Drew comes in and says, I said the only acceptable answers are fourth or later or third round because they're useless to us. LOL. The people who thought undrafted voted third round. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
And Jake drops it on us.
Exactly. All right, let's see what Jake Shavink, the authority in draft talk, has to say about this. He says, I mean, he did go 62nd, just 3 picks from the third round. That's a very good point.
That's a
we
great
hear
one.
second round, and we immediately think that's, I kind of look at the first 3 rounds as these are guys that, like Goody really said, they should be in your top 50, right? Like if you've went the extra mile and you're truly not looking at other draft boards and you're simply going, okay, this board is going to be created strictly how I feel about the player. If you're able to land all first 3 of your picks, first round, second round, third round, obviously if you just got 1 pick in each round and you get a top 50 prospect, man, you're feeling good about that, right? It's just, to me, I think the biggest issue for me is it's such an important position. Once you realize what you have in Josh Myers, and listen, just like we said about the Rasul Douglas trade, right? Carrington Valentine may come out and ball out, and if he does, it's going to be a good move by Goody. If they fall flat, then we're going to be able to sit here and say, all right, they semi-tanked, right? They made the team weaker and did it intentionally. But when you're talking about playing a center who is grading out, not even starting caliber and run blocking, right? I mean, I think SIS had him a blown block percentage somewhere in the 30s, right? 34, I think. The worst problem, the worst aspect of missing on a draft pick is refusing to acknowledge that you missed on a draft pick. And missing doesn't mean, you got to cut them off your roster. Missing simply means when you're talking about a position as important as center, if they're not making your offensive line better, and in most cases making your offensive line worse, especially in the run blocking game, I don't know, man. I have an issue with people not acknowledging that. People roasted Bill Belichick because he traded Jonnu Smith, right? He spent a ton of money on Jonnu Smith in free agency, got him in there, couldn't learn the offense, couldn't find a spot for him, he cut him. That's the only thing you can do, move on as quick as possible, right? Rather than sit there and trying to make someone something that they might not be. But love to have you in here, Jake. Appreciate you, buddy. That's a good point. It's been overlooked a lot too. I'm starting to get the feeling that Jake's kind of a Josh Myers fan. Maybe not a fan, but feels like the criticism isn't as warranted. And I definitely respect his opinion. That's for sure. Look at this. We got a new member of the PTA posse, Brent X. Good stuff.
Nice.
Welcome to the posse. We'll make sure you get on that wheel there during the post-game show on Sunday for a chance to win that autographed Dave Robinson jersey there from the Lombardi era. So anyone who wants to get in on that, just make sure you're a YouTube member by midnight on Saturday. That'll get you in there. So that's awesome. Good stuff there. Appreciate you supporting the stream for sure, man. All right. Up next, Emilio actually brought this to the table last second. Tim, we got a video from Carrington Valentine in the locker room. Really, really good stuff here. Let's hear what he has to say. And I want to get your take on it for sure, Tim. Here we go.
People talk about having a short memory, always having confidence. It seems like that confidence you have that you can perform.
Yeah, I feel like which position we play, having that short memory, it really matters because you can't really dwell on what happened the play before, even if it was a good one. So you just have to go out there, play with that confidence, play with that swag, and just be a playmaker.
I know you're still doing 1v1 reps in practice this week, just like you did last week. How much was that beneficial?
It's very beneficial. Just going out and compete, work on your technique, your craft every day. I mean, you just can't roll out of bed and do it. So, you got to keep practicing and practice is important. So.
Were you doing 1v1 in individual as well, or is it just team? You're going against your own receivers? Or?
Yeah, we do a mix of both. So it depends on what's going on, what's on the schedule.
Is that similar to how you guys did at Kentucky? Do you have a lot of 1v1 in college?
Kinda, a little bit. Towards this, as the season went on, it kind of weeded out, but yeah.
Sorry if you've been asked this, but how you feel about a guy like George Williams?
He's physical, a competitor. I'm a physical person. I'm a competitor, so I feel like it's gonna be a show.
Hey, Carrington, playing on the road up there. Playing on the road's been tough for you guys this season. How are you hoping to switch that around in Pittsburgh?
I mean, just start fast, start physical, and, you know, go out there and compete, honestly. You know, just don't let the outside noise or anything get to us. You know, as long as we stay together as a team and everything, I feel like we'll be okay.
And that sounds like a focused young man right
Dude,
there.
that guy is a rookie.
That's what I was
That
saying.
dude right there is a
That was
rookie.
my point. Yep.
Bro, CB2, extend them now. Forget it. I've seen enough.
Get it over with,
I've
baby.
seen enough.
I mean, how many boxes could he have checked there? Practice. You need practice to make something happen. You got to compete. I'm a baller.
How about you got to have a short memory? Don't dwell on the previous play, even if it was a good one. Man, how often do you hear that from a 22-year-old? Like,
in that 2-minute clip, he hit us with more good things that we wanted to hear than we've heard the past week in, you know, any kind of interview. So
it gives us some light, right? I think we were starting to see why Goody might have been willing to part with Rasul.
That's what I'm saying, man. We may look up in 3-4 weeks and go, hey, great move, Goody. And we'll be the first to say it, right? Mm-hmm. You heard us. We're going, man, we're worried about the locker room. It's one of your best players, which that does crack me. I ain't going to BS anybody. It cracks me up that he was graded out as our second highest player according to PFF. We trade him, and now there's people going, he's actually horrible. Come on, guys. Like, do we have to do this every time? Every single time. But he was a stud on Sunday though, man. It was a lot of fun to watch him play. Jake Shavik in the house says the same thing. Valentine was so good Sunday. Man, Chalk Talk, I'm telling you, that communication, when to me it looked like they were in half quarter, he looks back at Jonathan Owens and it's like, hey, listen, bro, I got it deep. You be aggressive, bite underneath. Sure enough, they ran a dig. He's seen something there. He pointed at Dre. And I'm thinking what he's telling J.O. is, look, I've seen this on tape, is what he's saying. He does this to J.O., and he points at Dre. And I think what he's saying there is, okay, listen, Dre's got the flat for the back, right? We got help with Isaiah underneath with the tight end running the curl. You be aggressive on the dig. I've got him if he goes vert. And it's sure enough, man, the way the play unfolded, that slide adjustment, you see Rippin look right with the stripe of his helmet and went crap and immediately come back to the corner. Threw right into coverage where he got baited by Jair, tipped, AJJ with the pick. Beautiful play. That's a 7th-round rookie communicating and making a play.
And that was 100% team defense playing within the scheme, communicating pre-snap and getting the job done. And that's what we've been talking about forever, that, you know, these last couple of years we look in our secondary, man, and we see 1-2 guys communicating. You know, we watched this game on Sunday, man. Everybody on that defense was communicating with each other, pre-snap, post-snap. You know, sometimes that's how it is, right? I mean, Emilio, you played. Sometimes the communication is you just see your guy miss his assignment, and you just got to know where to be. And we're starting to see these guys develop this kind of sixth sense where they're playing for each other and they're playing together. But, you know, the big thing is everyone seems to be on the same page, as opposed to finger pointing and going, hey, you were supposed to be here. What the hell happened? I feel like we didn't see a lot of that on Sunday. So, I mean, obviously this week will be a big test going on the road. However, I mean, it's probably going to be a bigger test for our offense than it will be for our defense. You know, the more I look at this game coming up Sunday, man, this has another one of those 17-14 kind of deals or something. This could be a defensive battle. I think we might
say that because that was my prediction, man. I was on a pod earlier. I got invited onto the Packer Nation pod, and they asked me, give me a prediction. I was like, man, I hate doing predictions, you know. And I went, I'll give you one. I said, Packers over the Steelers 17-14. So that's crazy that you just said that, Tim.
That's hey, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be on the leg of Anders Carlson at the end of the game.
On that open Riverside of the stadium, just hammering that thing into the wind. Emilio, when you got to play, when you got to kick into the wind like that, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got that open into the stadium and that water is rolling. You know,
breeze.
Oh, dude, coming
Flags flying.
Literally rolling off the ridge, hits the water, shoots right up in the stadium. There's only one way you got to kick that thing, bro.
And I'll kick the bloody piss out of it.
That right there, man. That's the only way you're going to get it through the
only way.
All right. Carly Ray says team captain right there, talking about Carrington Valentine. I'll tell you what, man, he's a rookie. He's a Kentucky boy. I can't stop smiling about this. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely.
Another one. Hey, maybe he'll be captain this Sunday. You never know.
Right, yeah. We could rotate him. But I mean, I'm just excited that he has that much attitude, that much, that knowledge, that drive. He wants to get better every day. It's still the, first year he's been there. He's learning everything as it goes, but it's coming together. And if, like they're always talking, I think Kenny said it, they got to do their 111th. And if they can do that, that defense has a chance. The offense could have a chance. But like Paul was saying, if we keep kicking ourselves in the, shooting ourselves in the foot with taking penalties, we could know off the first down. If we take a 5-yard penalty, we're probably not converting that one. Like Paul had it. So they just really got to step it up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Zane Strong in the chat said, I still would like to see Stokes, Alexander, and Valentine on the field together. That's where it gets crazy. It gets a little bit like convoluted. Who's going to play slide, right? I mean, you got to have – I want to say you got to have, but Keyshawn Nixon played well too, right? If anything, it shows you got a little bit of depth once Stokes is healthy. If he returns to, that rookie form where he came out and really surprised people, had a pretty solid rookie season, graded out somewhere in the mid-60s, which is a good rookie grade according to PFF, which is just absolutely insane to think that Carrington Valentine scored in the 80s this last game. And again, you see a PFF grade like that and you go, okay, that's PFF, right? Then you go look at the tape and he pops off the tape. You're like, man, that's pretty cool.
And what did we see? Because against Minnesota, I made the comments about like, man, Valentine's like a half a step or one step behind. He's right there. He's not getting beat bad. Let's see if he makes the right step next week and gets closer. And then boom, we get this Rams game. And this guy is like nearly perfect out there, which is phenomenal.
And who flashed in preseason and training camp? It was Carrington Valentine. Yeah. I immediately think, too, like when I see that game Sunday and I go, man, Carrington's playing really well. I immediately heard in my mind Michael Lombardi as the season, I think we were in the bye week before the regular season started, right? And he said, you got these people that say preseason doesn't matter. He said, what I've noticed studying this game for, multiple decades is more times than not, the trends that you see occurring in the preseason with a team, it may be specific players, it might be certain tendencies, certain mistakes. Most of the time they carry into the regular season. He said, if you hear someone saying the preseason doesn't matter, stop listening to them. They're casuals. That's exactly what he said. And immediately I remembered him saying that as I'm watching Carrington ball out, like we've seen this in the preseason, but preseason doesn't matter, right? Preseason.
Yep. What's funny is all those three you just mentioned, that last comment, wanting to see Stokes, Jair, and Valentine all on the field at the same time. And the question is, well, who plays the slot? Why is my gut reaction Carrington Valentine out of those three guys, right? Like, we know Ja's versatile. He could probably play there, but I don't think that's our best foot forward. And Stokes, I believe, is just straight boundary corner. So Valentine looks like the guy that may be called upon to do that. In fact, if for some reason Keyshawn's not on the field. So I just thought I'd add that. Valentine shows a lot of potential back there. I'm almost wondering if he can play free safety in a pinch too.
No,
there we go. Yeah, we're just going to sit and dime the whole time. John and him and Valentine and Stokes and Ja out there.
If you're going to play that nickel, if you're going to play that star position, you got to be able to tackle, right? Look at the tackle grade for Carrington Valentine. 75.1.
Well, you saw it when he came up and filled off the edge, and all you needed to do was swat his cleat, and the guy's tripping. He's unless we got the balance beam like Simone Biles and Zach Tom, there's no way that you're not tripping him up if you punch his shoe there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at all those tackle grades down the line, man, 75.1, 66.8, 81.8, 78.3, 80.6, 78.2, 72.8, 72.8, 71.4, 81.5, 27.2 for AJJ. But of course, he was playing free safety. That mindset's totally different when you're in center field. 74.2, 66.8. They showed up ready to tackle last Sunday, man. Let's hope they bring the same energy this week. Omar in the chat says whole secondary was Jair, came to play. Owens and Johnson Jr. were awesome, not missing Savage for sure. Yeah, I kind of cringed a little bit when Paul talked about, would he start over Savage? I'm going, oh, that's right. He's going to be healthy soon. I'm just being real. I would never say it to Paul, but I was sitting there going, oh, no. Well, this is why we can't have nice things, Tim. But Jake Shavink in the chat said, and that's a pretty good trio that they went against. That, and that's against a pretty good trio in Cup, Nakua, and Atwell. Completely agree.
Yeah, did we even see Cooper Cup affect that game on Sunday? It was almost like he wasn't there.
Yeah, had that one deep ball. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
30 yards.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's do this as we get ready to wrap up here. I was wanting to hit a quick little preview, but I think we're gonna let that ride. We're almost to the hour mark. What do y'all say we get done on time tonight, man? Y'all good with that?
Oh yeah, let me get this one in though real quick. We're going to wear the 50s, the throwbacks this weekend.
Look at Tim. Look at Tim.
The all green with the yellow lettering and the yellow helmet, but everything else is the all green there. Tim, I wanted to hear your take on it. I was talking to Clayton earlier.
You're a big uniform guy, Tim.
Let's hear it.
Dude, so the only time the Packers were any more terrible than they were in the 1980s was in the 1950s.
It's true, man.
And I believe that first of all, I love them. Like aesthetically, they're fire. So all these people who love these uniforms, like I got no beef with you. They're phenomenal. Right. They look clean. I love it.
They are
but
great.
I feel like we kind of jinxed ourselves, and I know a lot of people didn't like, the original 1919 throwbacks, the old blue with brown pants. Yeah. But, to me, that was a little more fitting because that brought us back to the original, Packers and our founding and those early glory days. So there was good chi behind that. But going to the 50s throwbacks, and now we're stuck with them, I believe, for another 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was at the Jets game last year, and I'll just leave it at that when they wore those.
Tim, you were at the Jets game last year?
I sure was. On the 50-yard line, row one. Yeah, that was
you had great seats. Did you have good seats too? Really good seats?
Really good seats. I was 50-yard line, row one.
Where? Behind the Packers?
Behind the Packers.
I was bench. I was like 20-yard line, like row two. I bet behind Packers. I can't believe it. That's wild.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yep. But like they wore them 50 throwbacks, and that was just ugh.
We got smoked.
We got smoked, right? Yeah.
The dude behind me was buying me booze because like he knew it was my first game, and he's like, yeah, man, I feel bad that they're just playing this bad. Then Lazard scores the touchdown, and we all jump, but we were still getting stomped. It wasn't a problem, but
my highlight of that.
He not only rambled, but he rumbled and stumbled.
You had too many daddy sodas out there, bro.
Yeah.
My wife and I were screaming at Ja on the sideline. There was like 3 minutes left. I think we were down pretty significantly. And we were like, come on, Ja, splash play. And he was putting his helmet on to go on the field, and he kind of stopped and looked like, psh. Yeah. And then he went out on the field. But no, that was yeah, man, I love the 50s throwbacks, man. I really do. But it's just something with the bad energy surrounding that era.
Right.
But hey, we wouldn't have had the success we had after that if we didn't have the failures we had before. So I'm all for it. I think this year we'll beat the Chargers with those throwbacks on, and it'll be a better experience than last year for sure.
Yeah. Well, the last time when I don't even remember the last time we won in Pittsburgh. It's been a long time since we won in that.
When's the last time we played in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's a great question. When was the last time we played in Pittsburgh?
I'm going to see if they actually have played in Pittsburgh, however long ago. I'm going to see if I can find it on YouTube and or wherever I can find it, and I might post it on the channel for everybody to watch. Old throwback, kind of like we did the Broncos game. So
nice.
Derek K in the chat said, "Love the blue and tan." I'm a sucker for those. What were they? The 1921s. Everybody called them the pool ball jerseys. I love them. I absolutely love them. Where they had kind of the tan pants, right? The blue jersey, the original uniforms. Everybody made fun of the little, the number or whatever, right?
That's how it was, though.
And what you got to understand is, at that time, they were one of the only teams in the league that had something like that. The league was so poor back then. The teams had no money. That when they seen those uniforms, just that little circle on their chest with their number, people were like, dang, look out, they're big time. Like, it was a different time, right? I love those jerseys. Absolutely love them. That's back in the Curly Lambeau days.
I thought the best thing they did when they did, because you remember when Brett was still playing, they had those. They first introduced those throwbacks, and they looked atrocious because we had the yellow helmet with that uniform. It just didn't go right. And then I believe a couple years later, they finally brought in the dark brown helmet to kind of simulate that old leather helmet they used to wear. And to me, it made that look complete. You had the black shoes with the tan pants, blue jersey, brown helmet. I mean, those guys looked like they were going to go rumble at Hagermeister Park again, So,
and that's right over in your neck of the woods, ain't it?
You know it.
It's a classic. All right, so
here we go.
Real quick. All right, so the most recent time we played it at Pittsburgh, it was 11-26-17 Packers, 28 Pittsburgh 31. That was the loss. Okay, but the last time that we actually traveled to Pittsburgh and won was December 6th, 1970.
Holy
Green Bay
crap.
20 at Pittsburgh Steelers 12.
Wow.
December 6th, 1970. Let me see if I can find that tape. Let me do some digging.
Let me do a little, if we can pull some plays from that game. And that's what I meant to say. So this game is going to be a checkpoint for the team, right? So you get stuck on a level, you're playing a game, and if we win this next game, we go to the next level. If not, we are going to fall back to this game every single time. And it's going to be a checkpoint mentally for the players. Like, Love's going to be able to go back, hey, remember that we did that one play. Remember that one route you ran, Dobbs, when you did the double move and then came out? Let's run that on this next drive. We need 15, something like that. They're going to use that as a mental bridge, a mental jump, and I'm excited for that they actually putting a little bit of that in the bank.
Yeah, definitely. And those old throwbacks that I was talking about, I immediately think of the game. You remember when Driver broke like 8 tackles on one play, dude on his back? Oh my God, man. God, it was the good old days.
You know what, man? I think I might have to take a little trip up to 1265 tomorrow and make sure I make my rounds and let every one of those players on that team know that we ain't beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh since 1970. Like, you guys weren't even alive. I wasn't alive. Like, it's been too long. Give them a little extra fuel. Like, because there are guys that, I'm wired that way. If I was on that team and someone's like, hey, organization hasn't won in this building or in this city against this team.
Yeah.
In like 45 years, 50 years. Like,
yeah,
man.
Even better, Tim, what you need to do is put on a black T-shirt, find a gold towel, and I want you to go over there and act like a Steelers fan. Be like, you garbage organization. Get them right. Piss them off, too. Yeah. Get them so fired up, dude. That's
been in that terrible.
That's what you get on this program, man. We're trying to do things right around here.
Oh man, I don't want to get beat up, man.
Yeah, well, Tim won't be on the show tomorrow. Well, what happened? It'll be on the local Green Bay news.
Yeah,
local man gets hung up by his toenails at Clark Hinkle Field. What the heck? Unbelievable. All right, so I agree. Thank you, Drew. Drew said Clayton is on to something. He's not talking about the marching powder either. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We're over the hour mark. We got some good stuff we're going to hold over. The plan, gang, the plan is to go live tomorrow morning with Good Morning Lambeau. So we'll carry some of this content over and do a morning show. Like I said, like I told the guys, they're welcome to join. Understand if they can't make it. I'm prepared to go solo, but they'll always have the invite. So if you guys find yourself waking up, grabbing a cup of coffee, and just want to talk a little ball, the plan is to go 30 to 45 minutes, but I'm sure we'll get on here and go late like we have tonight. But
yeah,
that's the way it rolls. So let's see here. Omar in the chat says another great show, guys. The PTA posse rock once again. Hey, you guys run the thunder. Y'all were in the chat early tonight.
Omar was in the chat 5:00. Yeah. He was in here setting up a tent. He started getting the campfire going. Everybody joined in. It was a good time.
Definitely. Derek K's asking what time. Probably 8 Central, 9 Eastern, but don't hold me to that. I'll create a YouTube video link for you guys. So just keep your eyes to the YouTube channel when you wake up tomorrow, whatever. I'm hoping I can be live by 8 Central, 9 Eastern. That's kind of the plan for tomorrow morning. So, yeah, with that being said, Carly Ray, she's getting out of here. She got dishes to do is what she said earlier, man. I'm up here hiding from the wife, bro. Let me tell you guys something. I've been dragging out Christmas decorations all day long. And I love Christmas, man. I'm the guy I can't stand the Hallmark channel, but if it's on in the background, I'm instantly in a better mood. You got a fire going, the Hallmark channel's playing. You know what I'm saying? You're just kind of
cinnamon candle, pine or something. Yeah.
The second Mandy starts breaking out the decorations and got me, I hide, dude. I'm like the dogs when they get in trouble, dude. I'm hiding under the bed. Please don't do this to me. Tim told on himself the other day. What'd you say to me offline, Tim?
Oh, come on. You're going to make me do this again.
So the other day, Tim said his wife asked him, "Hey, go ahead, Tim, you tell it."
Well, we were just talking, we moved a few months back and we were talking about, getting Christmas stuff out of storage. And I just kind of played like I didn't know where I actually put it, even though I'm fully aware of where it is. I got this rule, man. We got to at least get close to Thanksgiving. That's my deal. I'm not one of those. Oh, Halloween's
you sure
over.
About that?
I'm not one of those Halloween's over. Let's put up old Saint Nick just yet. But I am definitely the guy that always says it's cool to leave them on all the way up to New Year's for sure. So I'm not one of those haters that says you got to take them down right away on the 26th. But I'm with you, Clayton, man. They look pretty, but I don't like the manual labor involved.
I'll pay somebody. But Mandy is, I love doing this. This is so much fun. 2 days in, why ain't you helping me? I thought you loved it. I don't ask you to help me do the podcast or watch a football game. Come on. So, all right, let's get out of here. Emilio, parting thought.
I'm excited. Another week, another game. Tim, I meant to ask you, how was that thunderstorm wild this afternoon? I think they got kicked off the practice field. They had to go inside.
Yeah, it was a little rainy, so the boys went inside today.
Yeah, God, Tim's on a rolling now, boy.
Hey, man, I'm just gonna play it. Hey, man, we're going on the road. We're going on the road to Pittsburgh. I'd have my guys out there. Go and get wet. To hell with it. But I understand we got guys banged up too, and you don't want some guy, pulling a quad, slipping on the grass outside unnecessarily. So I understand the decision to go inside. But, honestly, where I was, it wasn't too bad. We just got a lot of rain. I didn't see anything like super severe, but I guess there was lightning strikes and a threat of some severe weather over there. So, they probably just moved them in precautionary. But, no, I did all right. I got my leaves done yesterday, so
nice.
Now they're soaking wet. They can't blow anywhere. I'm happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's good timing. They're brutal when they're soaked, man.
Yeah, they came in there. PR department said, "Hey, listen, we got lightning strikes in the area. You probably need to go inside." This was Tim's response.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Yeah, man. Always operating on Lombardi time.
Oh, man.
All right, Derek K with the final request here on TRL. All right, he says, keeps it real simple. Says 65%, baby.
65%.
65%. That's what I feel like a lifetime ago, man.
I know, it sure does.
All right, hold on. We got Drew here. Let's see what we got here. Drew says, "I just imagine Mandy being on a lawn chair with a beer pointing to Clayton how to put the lights up, man." That's true. That's some truth right there. Straight truth. But you know what, man? YOLO, right? YOLO. Right. You only live once, so you just got to bite the bullet sometimes. Go put up the damn Christmas decorations. Mm-hmm. With that being said, we're out here. Really appreciate everybody hanging out. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Again, we may title this Tim's Flu Game. We appreciate him toughing it out for sure. Emilio, thank you for suggesting the Carrington Valentine video. That was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, that was great.
Definitely. And I want to give a special shout out to the Super Chat, Josh Martin. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you supporting the stream. The chat was absolutely lit. Congratulations to Brent X becoming a new member of the YouTube group, the PTA Posse. And like I said, we will get you entered into that contest to win the autographed Dave Robinson jersey. So again, thanks to everybody for making this an awesome show. Special shout out to Paul Bretl, man. He gets better and better every time. Absolutely love his work. Go show him some love, guys. Follow him on Twitter at Paul_Bretl. Go throw some clicks in on the articles. Give him a read. This dude, he's straight to the point. Nothing's too wordy. Some people like to try to act, act smart. That would have been mean. They try to show how smart they are. Paul is just straight to the point football guy. just a rabid Packer fan as well. Absolutely love that dude. So with that being said, for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Tell the tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man who is inside. Pull back and tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one goes. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the